Excellent. So again, welcome to our monthly webinar. This month is just our open forum for general topic discussion and opportunity for people to ask questions. With me today are Kimberly Dickey, Lynn Symington, and Fonda Powers. We will all be presenting on some topics throughout. I sent an email this morning that had the handouts that we will be going over today. I did not include this presentation handout because we wanted to kind of keep adding stuff to it this morning, so it wasn't quite complete. But when the webinar is over, we will have all of the handouts, including this presentation, as well as the recording uploaded to our training page on our website. And then we do have the Q&A functionality available. So please utilize that if you have questions. And based on feedback we received several months ago, we will be not just answering those questions in that module, we'll also be reading them out loud and answering them because the recording doesn't always capture what the question was. So with that, let's start. First of all, I'd like to say happy birthday to Taylor Swift. It is her birthday today. I do know that because my children told me, and they have converted me to being a Swiftie. So I could not pass over December 13th without acknowledging. But this page, we're just going to go over briefly what some of the discussion topics are for today's webinar. And then, as I mentioned, each staff that's presenting today will be discussing something on this agenda. So let's start with a staffing update. I'd like to kind of welcome Fonda Powers. Fonda, as many of you know, was a single point of contact, or a SPOC, with the Division of Housing for almost the last 3 years. But she has taken a position here at the Division of Housing as a manager on the Rental Assistance Programs team in the Office of Rental Assistance. So a belated and delayed congratulations to Fonda. We wanted to let everybody out there know that we do have a third manager. That said, Fonda is still performing duties as a SPOC. And so until we can transition those off of her plate, she will be playing 2 roles. And I also wanted to mention, prior to coming to the Division of Housing, Fonda was with the San Luis Valley Behavioral Health Group, the Community Mental Health Center in Alamosa, for more than 5 years, doing the exact work that everyone on this call is doing. And that's working directly with our participants in administering the rental assistance program for the Division of Housing. All that to say, Fonda has a lot of experience with the program, the regulations, the populations we serve. So we are really excited to have her in this role. And she is presenting today as well. So you will get to hear from her a little bit later. We also have another staffing update that does impact folks on this call. And that is that the Department of Local Affairs, or DOLA, has a new executive director as of last week. Rick Garcia, who is our executive director for, I think, the past 5 years, retired, a well-deserved retirement. As some of you may know, prior to him coming to the Department of Local Affairs as our executive director, he was the regional director for the HUD office in Denver. So he, of course, brought a lot of housing experience to DOLA. That said, we now have Maria DeCambra, who comes to us from the governor's office. She has, for the entirety of Governor Polis's time as governor, worked as his director of communications and community engagement. And a big role that she played was being part of the Affordable Housing Task Force for the governor's office. And so we're super excited to have Maria join DOLA, and hopefully bringing a lot of housing experience and excitement to DOLA, same as Rick. And so with that, we do have new HAP contract templates on our website. I also sent them this morning in the email. These HAP contracts have Maria's name on them, where previously it was Rick's name. And so because Maria started December 5th, I think we need to have all the HAP contracts coming in that were signed and executed by landlords around that time. We do have some flexibility, so don't panic if you have some floating out there in the universe, but please do start using the new HAP contract that has Maria's name printed on them, because Rick is no longer the authority to sign those HAP contracts. So we are now signing those HAP contracts on behalf of our new director, Maria. Okay, so our first housing related topic that we wanted to talk today about is voucher payment standards. Now, you all received, hopefully, my email a while ago with the new voucher payment standards that are effective January 1st, 2024. The Division of Housing makes our payment standard changes effective on the first of the year, every year, just for consistency. So this year we had, and I think same as last year, we experienced either an increase or in some cases it stayed the same. But the majority of our payment standards did increase because the fair market rents for every community, with the exception of Pueblo, I believe, went up significantly. And so we had to make a lot of calculated decisions. That's not, I mean, calculated in terms of calculations and how will an increase in the voucher payment standard impact our budgets. I'll dive into that a little bit on the next slide. But because there was such a large increase, our payment standards from 2023, we weren't within that range. So for those of you who might understand how payment standards are set, and for those of you who don't, HUD publishes the fair market rents every year in October. And they say, housing authorities, here's what we say in each county for each bedroom size, what we believe the fair market rent is for that unit and that jurisdiction. Now, you housing authority have to set your payment standards anywhere from 90 to 110% of what we publish as our fair market rents. And so housing authorities, are tasked with, who do we currently have leased up? What's the rent burden? Are people able to find units at our current payment standard? Should we move up a little? Are we a little too high? And it's costing us a lot. So we have to really make those determinations. Now, the Division of Housing, we have payment standards that impact all 64 counties. So we don't have the benefit of just looking at one community and setting a really nice column of payment standards. We have to look at the whole state. And to further complicate that, we have our small area FMRs in the Colorado Springs MSA. So we have another set of 60 or so zip codes that we have to set our payment standards for. It is an arduous task. It takes a very long time. It takes a lot of research. And what we have to weigh is where are the majority of our vouchers located? And it's in the Denver metro area, in that 7-county Denver metro area. That's where the impact to our budget is going to be the most. That's where people are utilizing vouchers the most. How are those people faring with our current payment standards where they are? How many people have a gross rent, excuse me, of the rent plus the utility allowance that exceeds their current payment standard? Is that more than 30% of our families? There's a lot that goes into it. And then we have to strategically set our 2024 payment standards based on all of that information. And most importantly, can we afford? So if the sky's the limit, if we went to 100% or 110% of what HUD says the FMR is, that's great, but can we afford to continue to house our 6,000 families with our voucher programs federally, and then our additional 3,000 families that are funded outside of the Housing Choice Voucher Program? Can our budget sustain that? So we have to take that into consideration. This year, nationwide, the fair market rents went up on average 10%. That's enormous. That was a huge increase that we haven't seen in quite some time. Digging into a more specific area like the Denver Metro FMR, that increase was 20%. And so based on all of where our vouchers are saturated, what our current costs were, we set our voucher payment standards at about, on average, 5%. A 5% increase of where we currently were at. In the metro area, we increased by 7.5%. It doesn't feel like a lot, but when we look at our budgets, it's going to have a pretty big impact on our spending in 2024. So we have to keep an eye on our budget. I just wanted to give you a little bit of insight on how we come up with those payment standards. We're not just randomly selecting numbers. And I'm happy to talk to anyone who is curious how we looked at their particular community. I'm happy to discuss with you guys. We also provided a link to our website that has all of the payment standards, the utility allowance schedules, and our income limits are all published and up to date at that link. Are there any questions about payment standards if anyone's checking those Q&A?
No questions.
Okay, great. I can't see where it is. Sorry about that. All right. And pardon me, we have virus floating around our house the last 2 weeks, and I think it's slowly catching up to me. So we want to also take today as an opportunity to talk about our budget update. This is in particular to the Housing Choice Voucher Program. As you guys know, we were in a projected budget shortfall for almost the entire year of 2023. I think we were identified by HUD's shortfall team in March, at the end of March. So after the first quarter, once our new budgets were published, you guys probably have heard me say every year, HUD allows us to spend in the first few months of each year based on our previous year's budget because they haven't finalized our current year's budget. So we're usually spending without knowing what our final budget for the year is going to be for a couple months. In 2023, so we ended 2022 with a projected surplus, meaning we were going to have a lot of money left over at the end of the year. HUD, like any agency that is responsible for federal dollars, says we're going to send you money to house people. You have to use that money to house people. You can't sit on it because that money could be used to house people somewhere else, for example. So in 2022, they identified us as having a pretty significant budget surplus. Our response to that was to increase our payment standards. We did that in January and then again in July. This was in 2022 to try and increase our spending. We also put 7 to 800 vouchers, housing choice vouchers on the street, or increased everybody's baseline so that you could put 700 to 800 vouchers on the street with the hopes that 60 to 70% of those would lease up by the end of the year so that we could spend our budget surplus. We did not meet that target, which left us with a pretty significant reserve. So whatever we get from HUD that we don't spend can go into a reserve, a savings account, for lack of a better term, that we can hold on to into the next year. But there's a limit to how much we can have in that savings account, that reserve. We had too much, so HUD took I can't remember, offset. So rather than taking the money back from us, they just paid us less in 2023 because we had so much in our reserves, because all of the tools that we put out there to spend down that 2022 money did not work. Although it did work because those vouchers started leasing up in early 2023. So the intention was spending that money in 2022. It didn't happen, unfortunately, for various reasons. So they did start leasing up in 2023, but unfortunately HUD had already come in and offset our budget. So we were getting less dollars to support all these new folks that were leasing up. So what happened was we started 2023 a little precariously, but in March we were identified as being in projected shortfall. And that's HUD telling us, based on our spending trends early on, we probably would run out of money by the end of the year. So for every month, we met with HUD in 2023 to go over our shortfall plan. And you guys know we stopped issuing new vouchers. We had to bill for anybody coming in through portability from another state. We couldn't just absorb them into our program. We had to bill their initial housing authority. That person, that housing authority had to pay us for the HAP every month that we paid on behalf of these tenants. It's an administrative burden for everyone. We had to go through a lot of our data and say, how come this one person's in a 3-bedroom unit? That seems to be costing you a lot. Of course, we have a lot of reasonable accommodations we could share with them, but it was a lot of work. And so we were successful in that we got our shortfall from a projected $2 million shortfall in the beginning of the year down to $360,000 shortfall by the end of the year, which is less than 1% of our annual budget. So it was a successful time with the shortfall team. We ended the year able to pay all of our bills, and then the bonuses, we're going to start 2024 with everything we spent, including that shortfall funding that we got from HUD. We're going to get that in 2024. That said, we still don't know what that's going to look like for 2024. I say 2024 budget unknown because, again, based on our calendar, I've been doing this for many years. We don't usually have that final budget until March, April in bad years, sometimes not until May. And so we know what we spent in 2023. What we don't know are the rebenchmarking data and the inflation factor data. So rebenchmarking is when HUD looks at what we spent in 2023 and they look at their budget that's been appropriated through Congress, which again hasn't been finalized yet, they can tell us, great, we can give you 100% of what you spent in 2023, or we can give you 99.5%, or we can afford to give you some years 98%, which is pretty significant decrease. So I could have spent, just pulling a number out of the air, $50 million in 2023. And I spent every penny of it. And in fact, HUD had to give me some extra to cover our bills. I now have to take that 50 million and do it again in 2024. I have to serve these same families. We know rents are going to go up. We know, costs are going to go up. So it's going to cost me more than $50 million in 2024. So if HUD doesn't give me 100% rebenchmark, I'm in trouble. But based on our budget and based on what Congress approves and what the president signs, we could be getting 99% of that 50 million, which is just, again, a figure I'm just pulling because it's an easy number to do math with. But then on top of that, we also get an inflation factor. Costs go up, cost of living increase, think of it kind of in that way. In the past, we've gotten a 2% inflation factor. So whatever we spent in 2023, that rebenchmarking percentage, and then we get to add a percentage for an inflation factor to it. Last year, it was 9.3%, huge inflation factor. I don't know what this year's inflation factor is. I don't know what this year's rebenchmarking is. So I can't make any predictions on if we can start leasing again in 2024. I'm hopeful that we will be able to, but it all depends. So stay tuned. As soon as we know, we'll share. But I do want to also point out that the increase in the fair market rents tells landlords that they can increase their rents. I mean, they're increasing their rents anyway, we know that. But this pretty substantial nationwide increase to fair market rents is sort of an alarm to our landlords that they can also increase their rents because look, they're going up. HUD said, so we have to increase our rents. And because we increased our payment standards, we are going to have to absorb those increases into our budget. So we have to kind of follow that for a couple months in early 2024 to see what our trajectory is for the end of the year. So we don't put ourselves in another projected shortfall. It could happen naturally based on what our rebenchmarking and inflation factor is. But if we do end up with more money than what we got in 2023, we can start to look at if we can afford to start turning vouchers over again. And that is our hope, that we will be able to do that. One thing we are committed to doing, regardless of, well, I shouldn't say that. They could come back and say we get, a historical low rebenchmarking of 95%. Gosh, I hope not. But if, assuming none of that happens, we are committed to tackling those project-based to tenant-based wait lists that many of you are holding. Those of you who have project-based vouchers that you're administering with a wait list of folks who want to transition to a tenant-based voucher, we will be tackling those in January or February to start issuing tenant-based vouchers to get those wait lists cleared. So hopefully that is at least one benefit that we can share with you all now. With that, are there any questions on our budget update?
There are no questions on there.
I must just be really knocking it out of the park, huh? Okay. I am going to let Fonda jump to this slide.
Good morning, everyone. First, I will start by saying we appreciate all of your patience with the Elite updates and switching over our new host. We have had a couple of projected go live dates that have come and gone. Currently, we are looking at late January, early February. In saying that, out of the 150 licenses, we will need some of your participation. Stephanie Casillas will be reaching out to selected individuals, selected contacts to schedule and identify a date and time that we can get at least 60% of the users to log in at the same time for a saturation test. This basically will ensure that we are able to manage and maintain on the new system so that it doesn't crash. So that is coming very soon. In addition to that, with our new login portal, we will have additional features for participants that we haven't had in the past, such as the ability for them to log in and do re-exams online. Landlords will also be able to see if they have participants that have upcoming re-exams that are due, and they'll have more functionality as well. So we'll really be promoting that a lot more to landlords than we have in the past. Of course, they'll still have the ability to see who they've been paid for as they do now, but it'll look a lot different and it'll offer a lot more features than what we have currently. Easier login process overall. Right now, we have suspended the process for requesting new users. We will resume that soon after we have the go live into the new host. If you have login problems with passwords, username issues, we will just have one contact instead of the process that we had before. It'll be much more fluid, easier, quicker turnaround time. So we're hoping that overall this is going to be a better transition for everybody. And again, we appreciate everyone's patience. Any questions on that?
Do have one question. This is from Anne. Will agencies get logins for all staff? We have been told that the logins may be limited and that some staff will need to share. As you can imagine, this could be a huge problem.
Hi, Anne, I'll answer that. We have been green-lighted to have 150 licenses. Part of what we have taken for granted for 21 years, that's how long we've been using the Department of Human Services, Colorado Department of Human Services portal, is that they have given us that service for free. We have never had to pay to access Elite through that portal. We cannot access Elite directly. We have to do it through a secure portal. Obviously, we have a lot of confidential data of our participants. So we have loved that. We've hated it. You guys know how long it takes us to get anything processed because we're not priority. We're not the Department of Human Services. We used to be. That's why we were on their portal. When we came over to the Department of Local Affairs, they continue to support us. Last year, maybe a little earlier, they told us they could no longer support us. So we had to find a new host. And we have found this new host, but now we have to pay for the licenses. And we have gone from paying no money for Elite to paying more than $200,000 a year for Elite. It is a huge impact to our administrative budget. That said, we are looking at what the cost would be to add additional licenses. Is there a bundling discount? Don't think that there is, because our hosting site is a Microsoft product, and you know that they are really struggling for income these days. They're doing fine. So we are going to work with, the SPOCs are going to work with agencies on solutions on how we can make this work for now. For those larger agencies, and I'm looking at you and I'm looking at, you know, those of you who work for large agencies with more than 1,000 vouchers that you're administering, we do know that that is not going to be the best answer, but we are looking into what that cost looks like. So stay tuned. Right now, we are trying to get our 150 licenses that we've already been approved for up and running so we can do the saturation test in January, and then we can, you know, go live early February, maybe. That could possibly be pushed back. We do have a little time to come up with more solutions. We're working on that. We do understand what that looks like for you guys. I wish I had a better answer. But we know, because they're, you know, look at all of us at DOH, we all have to be logged in on any given day as well. So, and we're part of that 150 too. And so we're trying to look to our staff, our teams, who needs it, who doesn't. Okay. Leslie, I can read that.
Sorry.
Leslie says, can we share our login information to the staff that don't have their owners? That's still going to be bad. That's bad, Leslie. We can't share. But let's talk to your SPOC, and we can talk about some other solutions, but no. We have plenty of logins. Once we're in Elite, it's getting to Elite through our new host. That's the cost battle that we're currently trying to find funds that aren't our admin dollars to cover. So yeah, that's one of those solutions that we can talk more one-on-one with your SPOC, trying to come up with what could work. Again, sorry, I'm sorry, Fonda, for giving you the topic that has no answers, but that's your new, that was your hurdle as the new manager. Okay, doesn't look like we have any more questions for now. Of course, you guys, there'll be time for questions after the presentation too. So, and then you can always reach out to your SPOC afterwards. Okay, Kimberly, you're up.
There, everyone. So I'm going to talk about a briefing video that we have created. It's on DOLA's YouTube channel. You'll see the link right there. We may also put the link on our website. I think that we intend to, although we haven't decided where yet. But if you just Google DOLA, our YouTube channel does not have, it has probably about 10 other things on it, but you'll see the applicant briefing video. So agencies and staff aren't required to use this video. However, you can opt to use this video, meaning you can have an applicant watch it on their own in lieu of you giving them a live presentation. The video can be used to brief any voucher type. It is a general Division of Housing briefing. So you can have them watch it, and then if they have questions, you can schedule a follow-up time with that applicant or participant. You should always offer that. They may not take it, and that's okay. But if they have watched this video, they should have the bulk of the information regarding our voucher programs. This new process comes with an updated certification of applicant briefing form. It essentially is the same as the old form, except now a person attests to the fact that they watched the video and that they had an opportunity to ask questions at an appointment after the video, whether they took that opportunity or not. So hopefully you all will find this useful and helpful and time saving if you were giving live briefings to folks or new adults added to the household. We have also updated our briefing packet. This is already available on our website as of this morning. It replaces the old one that was on our website. This is also a general briefing packet that can be used for any of our voucher programs. You can tell it's the new one because it has a lot of houses on the front, whereas the old one just has one house. Now we have a lot of different types of houses. The revised packet has a new page with information about our program differences. I think that's the next slide, Catherine, unless I didn't put it in the... I didn't, I'm sorry. So essentially, if any of you have ever used our program comparison sheet, it's sort of an Excel spreadsheet. This is a smaller version of that included in this packet that's aimed at voucher holders. So if persons can say, well, I have a state voucher, what does that mean? And then it has information on that. Or I have a VASH voucher, what are the differences? Or I have, you know, a project-based voucher, what are the differences? So that it's a general briefing packet, but folks can look at their specific voucher type and see what kind of offerings it has, security deposit or what have you. This briefing packet also has updated forms. Good Place to Live has not changed. That is a form that's never updated, but that's in there. It has updated census information, updated discrimination forms, and information about Colorado's source of income prohibition law, etc. So you all can feel free to use this packet, and if you ever want some hard copies, let us know. We may have a few printed we can provide.
Question has come in. Is the video for all programs or just HCV? If just HCV, is there a plan for other programs?
The video is for all programs. It is to accompany this briefing packet because the video does refer to that document I was just talking about that compares each program and says what differences they have. So it does say, please look at that form. So that form is in this packet, but it is general for all voucher types. And there are points in the briefing video that say for VASH or for project-based that sort of specify what we're referring to when we're referring to something.
All right, thank you. I'm going to move to your next slide.
We also have an updated RAFTA packet. So the RAFTA form was updated by HUD a few months ago. So there's the newest version of that form in the RAFTA packet. And then we have created some additional forms. And I surely should have put those in this. I think I meant to, but I'm looking at them. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, now you guys know me.
This packet has been included in the handouts that Catherine sent. And I'm sorry, Catherine, if you can't find it, it's okay. Oh, thank you. So we've created some new forms. This is a similar form to one that Denver Housing Authority uses, although I like ours better because I just do. But I have a lot of landlords ask me, can I have that DHA form? They don't say DHA, but can I have that form? And they're referring to a Denver Housing Authority form in Denver. And so I just created one. We just created one that sort of mirrors that. You can put in your participant's name, the date. You as in the agency as staff member can enter how many bedrooms they have on their voucher. And if a landlord wants to see the amounts, payment standards that match that bedroom amount, they can use that QR code or that link to look at what the payment standard is, because I've often found that when you give the voucher, it doesn't have an amount on it, and landlords often want to see the money amount. So that's what the intention of that QR code is. And then it's just a short overview of the process. So how things work. Even if someone's been in the program a long time, they usually have questions about what happens now that I want to move. And this is supposed to be able to assist them and assist their new landlord in the steps in the process. And then we have a space for your contact information so that your participant and the landlord knows who to call, who to contact. Also included in the packet is the RAFTA, a W-9, and a direct deposit form. So the RAFTA itself, if you'll scroll down just a little bit, it's the HUD RAFTA, but we've added some spaces to it. So if you see in the middle here, we added whether renter's insurance is included, whether there's a flat rate with utilities, because oftentimes if renter's insurance is a flat rate each month, we can include that with the rent. Same with utilities. So it's good to have that extra information, and then you are able to add that to the HAP. And then I think it also asks for the landlord's email address, because I don't know about you, but I want to email everyone. Yep, sure does. If I can email them, I'm going to do it. Then it has our W-9 form that the state uses, and then it has our direct deposit form. So Catherine did send you this direct deposit form with the webinar handouts, but this will not be available on our website. The packet will be, but it will be available without this direct deposit form, because the state controller, who handles all of our money, does not allow this to be on the website, just as a fraud prevention method. So again, you have that in your email from Catherine this morning, but if you go to the website, you're not going to find that direct deposit form. We really want landlords to use direct deposit. So if there's any point you can make them feel like they have to, that's okay. They don't have to, but it's really preferred. So yeah, I think I actually already said the things that are on the next slide. Just letting you all know that EFT form, you should keep a blank copy of that, because you can get it from your SPOC, but you won't be able to find it on the website. And I think that is the final point on the RAFTA packet. Thank you, Catherine.
2 questions. First question, will the QR code work for Colorado Springs? The QR with the payment standards and such.
That is a great question, and it will not, but I'm going to add another QR code to it for that, because or we might just make a separate form for Colorado Springs vouchers, because you're absolutely right. That is a totally different animal. So we'll send you updates on that. It does not currently work for those.
Next question, is the new RAFTA on the website yet?
Yes, it is. It was uploaded this morning. Thank you, Skylar.
Rosalie says she doesn't see the RAFTA packet on the website. Hopefully, not sure when you checked, Rosalie, it may be there now, but we'll double check after. And a shout out, these new resources are a game changer. Thank you.
Yay.
Oops, more coming in. Thank you. On the page 1 RAFTA packet, the name of the tenant and the coordinator name pre-populate as both the same when they need to be different. Was that a copy and paste of the?
Yeah, they don't know. They don't for me when I'm trying it out. Oh, wait a minute. Do they? Oh, they do. I didn't. I will fix that if that is indeed happening. I didn't just copy and paste. I tried to make a new, but I think you are correct. Thank you for checking that. I need a checker on my technology work.
Boxes. When I'm making a PDF, I'm like, I'm going to copy it so it's the same shape, but then one check.
Right.
Everything.
Thank you for catching that, whoever did.
Yep, Leslie. We'll double check and re-upload, and then of course all the handouts from today will also be an attachment on our training page. And yes, the new RAFTA is on the website. Okay. Thank you, Kimberly. Oh, this is me. Surprise. I forgot I put that in there. I'm back. Okay, also sent this morning, but something we had on our website a while ago. I had been meaning to send out an action alert to let everyone know. We've made a change to the zero income reporting form. Using the old reporting form was okay. It still is okay. What we did learn through participation in a HUD presentation is that what we were requiring or requesting on our zero income reporting form that we have been using for a very long time. So, I own that we haven't taken a time to review and update that form, but was that our 6-page zero income reporting form, even though we were only asking for it once a year, was very cumbersome and not netting any big discovery that people had income that they didn't know was income. And so at the request of an external agency, and also in learning from HUD that we could do this, we updated our zero income reporting form to be a 2-page questionnaire that is pretty forward, easy to answer. It's fillable, so it can be done digitally and submitted. And we hope that this will make this process easier for our families as well as for you all who have to review those, to identify potential not unreported income, but things that were income that our participants may not have realized were considered income. So that is on our website. It was also submitted or sent out with our handouts today. And then just a couple of reminders about the zero income reporting process. It only needs to be completed annually for households that are reporting a total zero income. It does not have to be completed for each individual or each adult in a household reporting zero income. If the entire household is reporting zero income, then we need the form completed for that family. And then something else that I think we knew, but we haven't really shared maybe or thought through, was that if somebody is receiving a non-cash donation and they're putting that, like, how do you buy food? How do you buy toiletries? A lot of times we see Food Bank or another charitable organization that they're getting donations. If it is a non-cash donation, or it's not somebody paying a monthly bill for them, we should not be assigning this a dollar value for purposes of income reporting. And so just kind of a reminder there. If a family is paying their cell phone bill every month and there is a dollar sign associated with that in the income reporting form, that does consider that income, but a non-cash donation, again, food bank, family tree or type of charitable organization that's assisting families, with products that they need for their household, we should not be assigning dollar value and counting that as income. All right. And I do see the question. Correct. Oh gosh, and I hope I'm right, Lynn, and maybe you want to jump in if I'm saying this all wrong. But no, if the entire household is reporting zero income, so nobody in the household is reporting income, we do need this form filled out. What we find is an adult child is reporting zero income, but they live with their parents who are reporting income. They will fill out the 6-page form and say, my mom pays for it, my dad pays for it. Perfectly logical answer, right? And so no, it's just if the entire household is reporting zero income. And I welcome corrections from Kimberly, Fonda, or Lynn if I'm saying that incorrectly. And then if there's an interim, do family members 18 and over complete the zero income reporting form? Only if that interim is to remove all income from the household, then we just need the head of household to report, to complete that zero income reporting form, I believe is the answer there. All right. Lynn, now I will punt it over to you. You're muted.
Got the video unblocked, but not the volumes. All right. Good morning, everyone. Wanted to let you know that the Division of Housing has updated our security deposit process. And this is specifically for the COC PSH program, the SHV programs, and the FUP youth. And what we have done, we have just kind of solidified our process in an area to, or in an attempt to kind of remove barriers in getting individuals housed. And what we have done is change our process to allow partner agencies, if they choose to pay the first or second security deposit directly to an owner on behalf of a participant, and then request reimbursement of those security deposit payments from the Division of Housing. So we've done this sporadically over time with agencies, but we've never had a policy regarding this. And so agencies do not have to participate in this. And so this is something you'd want to talk about internally. But if you choose to pay the first or second security deposit directly to an owner, Catherine has sent out, we will have this great fillable form that you would submit monthly to the DOLA Section 8 email address to get reimbursement for those security deposits. And Catherine's pulling up that form. And so what we're trying to do is we only want this submitted monthly, instead of having it come in every single time if you're paying multiple security deposits for participants over a month. And then we'll be making those adjustments and paying your agency for reimbursement of those. And this also doesn't have to be an all or nothing. You can choose not to do this, but on certain instances where it's really going to create a barrier, or maybe the landlord's not willing to move forward unless they can get that security deposit up front, this could be an option for agencies. So hopefully that's pretty straightforward.
We do have one question. We were recently advised that we no longer offer security deposits for SHV. Is that still accurate, or can our SHV participants request a deposit?
Definitely the SHV participants can request deposits. Maybe, Melinda, this might have been, there's been some changes in our project-based security deposits. That we're really moving towards the Division of Housing when we post our RFA, or request for applications for new PBV projects, that we're really trying to work with those PBV projects to no longer request security deposits for residents. So, and so I don't know where you heard that. I would follow our process sheet. And so that, and in speaking with Brendan and Carla before she left for a new job opportunity, you can still request security deposits for SHV. And COC is not the same thing as CAT. COC is the Continuum of Care Permanent Supportive Housing Program. And then under the state housing vouchers, SHV, we do have multiple different programs underneath state housing vouchers. And one of those are the CAT vouchers, or Community Access Team Voucher Program. And that is, and you can refer to our security deposit process sheet. That program is a little different, where there is only one security deposit per lifetime for the participant. So that's just the CAT V vouchers. That's through our community access team, the CAT team in our office. And if they can only get a second security deposit if that first one is returned. So those are the CAT V state housing vouchers. And anonymous attendee, I would say to work with your SPOC potentially, and request additional training. I'm more than happy to provide any training as much as I can. There's a lot of SPOCs, a lot of people on our team who know a lot more and process these security deposits all the time. But I'm happy to provide, if you reach out to your SPOC, I'm happy to join a meeting or to set up a time if there's enough interest regarding security deposits. But I would definitely refer to, it's quite a long process sheet, but I feel like the security deposit and damage claim process sheet is pretty detailed. But again, I would be happy to do any one-on-one training, or if you had any questions, to reach out and let me know. I think that was it. No more questions.
No questions. I'm trying to get my little camera thing to pop back up. Well, I can't do it. I give up. Okay, now we have, oh, here it is. An opportunity if you all have questions or topics you'd like to discuss.
There is one question that just came up. Oh, but it looks like Lynn Symington is typing an answer. So forgive me.
I can read it too, since people can't always see the questions. So the question is, what programs, again, can you request security deposits for? And Lynn's typing. I'll start answering and it'll be wrong. But the form that was submitted today, so I do.
Catherine, I could just say it since not everyone can see the chat. It is the Continuum of Care PSH vouchers, Permanent Supportive Housing. state housing vouchers, and under that, there is the HSP or the Homeless Solutions Program state housing vouchers, the mental health state housing vouchers, the recovery oriented housing program state housing vouchers, the community access team voucher program, and then the family unification program youth housing choice vouchers.
We have
And
an
that's all. Sorry.
HQS question that just popped up, and boy, did we have this question in a team meeting recently. Alexis, that's great. The question is HQS question. Does a basement bedroom have to have an egress window in order to pass inspection, or can it have a smaller window that opens? So I don't see Mickey on this call. And I don't want to answer and then be incorrect. One of the questions that we had in our meeting was how the landlord says it's a 5-bedroom unit, but the 2 of the bedrooms are in the basement that don't have egress windows. And the answer that we got from a HUD cheat sheet was, first and foremost, purpose of a window in a room used for sleeping or a bedroom is not for escape. It's for natural light. That is the requirement of why there must be a window for it to be considered a bedroom. So that's part of the answer. Although the second answer is there has to be a source of exit other than the front door, right, to get out of a unit in a situation like that. So I guess that is part of my answer. But the second answer is, can we consider it a bedroom? If you cannot answer it based on the HQS form, you have to rely on the local jurisdiction. So what the tax assessor in that county considers the building to be. And then there are cases where, well, the landlord just completed construction to add extra bedrooms. The tax assessor hasn't caught up to that yet in terms of, getting it assessed for the new size. So boy, did I muddy that answer. So I think it does not have to have egress in order to be considered a bedroom, but there needs to be another way for that person to leave that basement area, and then rely on what the tax assessor in your community says and codes the building as. Okay.
Kimberly, can I jump in real quick? Not on that.
Like, did I answer wrong?
No. I don't want to answer that wrong either. Skylar is wonderful, and has put the new RAFTA packet up on the website with the form option corrected. The Colorado Springs version is not there yet, but the form is fixed. So I wanted to say that. I wanted to answer one question I typed the answer to, because when you do that, it goes away. And then I also wanted to say that one of the attendees has their hand up. I am not able to tell who, but you can unmute yourself if it is you. But first, let me answer that. Someone said, do the security deposits not available for EHBs? And they are, however, that program is not permanent. So we didn't want to include it in the process sheet, which may be up on our website forever and ever, because EHBs will eventually go away. So that it does cover those, but we just didn't include it on the process sheet. And then hand up person, I'm sorry that I can't tell who you are.
I can. It's Cindy with Commerce City Housing Authority. So Cindy, I'm going to allow you to talk. If you meant to raise your hand, now is your chance. All right, you're unmuted. Or you can unmute yourself, I should say.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can. Hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, I just joined late because I had a participant come in and I had to meet with them. But I do have a question, and the question is about interns. Now that we're not processing if it's an increased intern or anything like that. Now, what if you have a family that has a mom and a dad, and the dad was working, the mom got a job, so you didn't count that, you just put that in the file and you note it. And then the annual comes around, and right before the annual, the dad loses his job. So now they're at zero income. And here comes the annual. Do we pick that back up from where she's working to add it, or no?
You should be collecting, so that we are asking our families to continue to report to us when they have income change. So you should have something from the mom showing that they were working
Right,
in that situation. So when the annual comes around, if mom still has income, yes, we will now start counting it. They got
okay,
that break from, please continue to report. We're not processing increases until Hotman tells us we have to. That's a 2025 problem that we're working on in 2024. But in the meantime, it's sort of get caught up, you know, on other bills that we know our families have. But we will have to count it at annual time. Yep, absolutely.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I see some more questions that are coming in. One of the questions on security deposits, Lynn, maybe you can answer. Oh, it looks like you are liking to answer this question.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I think with all of these, it'd be best if we just kind of said them out loud, but,
I think
one of
so
the
too.
questions was, can people ask for multiple deposits? And other than the CAT V that we had talked about, state housing vouchers, participants can ask for multiple security deposits. There is a requirement after the first security deposit of additional documentation that you may need to be sending into your SPOC. There is a security deposit retention form, invoices, and participant meetings that we want you to have to kind of figure out why they're not getting that security deposit returned. Our policy at the Division of Housing is usually those first two security deposits. They don't need necessarily approval from DOH, but anything beyond the first two security deposits, you have to get pre-approval from your SPOC. So that is why on that sheet to get reimbursement, if agencies want to pay that upfront, we say only for the first or second security deposit, because after that, it's on a case-by-case basis. So it's not unlimited security deposits over the lifetime of the program. For all the programs except CAT V, you can get multiple, but after that second security deposit, you're going to want to be getting approval from the Division of Housing prior to getting that paid. The best date somebody asks, is there a best date to send in those monthly security deposit sheets? It's up to you. I would suggest either the end of the month or the beginning of the month. Just send one sheet, but there is no set time. There'll be one or two people that are looking at that email and then creating those adjustments all at once. And so we're hoping that that's going to reduce any administrative burden on individual coordinators or on SPOCs, that we're just going to be doing that at one time. And then there was another security deposit question, and now it went away.
Sorry, I think I'm putting them away, but I think you had answered them all. So I don't take them away until you answer them.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I'll read this RAFTA question and I'll give my answer to Aurora, but anyone else, Fonda, Catherine, and Lynn, anyone else want to jump in, feel free. So Aurora states, I love on the RAFTA where it is now asking what additional fees are required. Recently, our team in the Springs has been coming across residential benefit packages that the property manager has been adding on. It's not a part of a rent, but it does include renter's insurance. It includes things like access to their web portal, sending tenants furnace filters, admin fees, etc. The fees are anywhere from $39.95 to $60 plus per month. Some of our tenants are zero income, and it's been a weird topic to talk with landlords and residents about. Many of the residents are expecting their renter's insurance at about $10 to $15, but the tenants are not in a position to pay $40 a month for these excess fees. Any advice or any other coordinators seeing these, and how are you handling them? Thank you. So Aurora, most of my current work is in Denver VASH and EHV, and in those two programs, we thankfully have a bit more flexibility with payment standards than the general HCV program does, and then PSH and SHV do. So I'm going to answer based on VASH and EHV. However, when there is, I know that those benefit packages also include like reporting your credit, so you get up your credit score. They include lots of things that aren't necessarily something that HAP would normally cover. But replacing the furnace filters, I've seen that before. Being able to pay in your payment online, I've seen that before for $5, and renter's insurance, and those sort of things would kind of qualify for HAP because furnace filters would be an HQS item. Renter's insurance could be included at HAP as part of a flat fee. So if you're seeing those flat fees, and even though they may include some things that don't generally fit under HAP, but it's all a flat fee. So say the rent's $1,300 and then it's $50 more a month. If there is room within that payment standard calculation for that charge, you can add it to the overall rent as a flat fee. It doesn't mean that it will all be included in the HAP, because if it goes over the payment standard and there's zero income, it's not going to work. So it's really kind of a case by case basis. We do see these fees a lot more than before, and it's difficult when you can't always, because if the rent's too high, you can't actually include the flat fee. It doesn't serve anybody to do so. So I don't know if Catherine, Lynn, Fonda, if you have any thoughts on those, but that's how we handle them in Bash and EHB.
I don't know that I have any thoughts. I know what we're allowed to use our HAP to cover. And I know that these landlords out here with these, here's a furnace filter replacement fee. Aren't you supposed to? Anyway. And the package receiving fees, it's starting to feel predatory. And so I know that doesn't help us today with this conversation, but I think it's a bigger concern I'd like to bring up with our liaison who works with the lawmakers. But that said, yes, Kimberly, I agree with you. If there is room in the payment standard and we can parse out what could be covered, we should do that in those cases. I know it's slim pickings out there with properties in terms of places that our participants can rent, and people with zero income. They're very real families out there that do not have income at this time, working on benefits or whatever the situation may be, but really reading through these leases with them so that they understand you will have to pay utilities, and then like the utility reimbursement may not cover it, and then these wild fees that are being added out there. I think just doing our best to educate our families on what this potential out-of-pocket cost could be for them until we can get a handle on. We'll make one change to a law, and then the landlords, their business, they have to cover their costs. They'll figure out a different way to cover their costs. I have probably muddied that answer a little more, but Shay, I think you were asking about, in addition to Cindy's question about the family, where one household lost their income, the other one had just received income. So at the time of re-exam, we should be collecting updated income anyway. At re-exam time, when you send out those packets 120 days in advance, asking for those updated pay stubs and so on. So if you get the paperwork from your family and you look in the file and go, oh no, they reported this 6 months ago, I'm going to need updated pay stubs, or that should all be being requested in those annual re-exam packets that go out. Lynn, we have another security deposit question.
Yes, this one is, would the HSP and or mental health SHV vouchers that are attached to project-based vouchers chosen through coordinated entry selection still have the ability to request a security deposit? And it's not an easy yes or no answer, I'm afraid. It depends on the project. And so our policy, the Division of Housing's policy, is that for those programs, for project-based, we do not pay security deposits with the project-based, because we expect our project-based buildings and developments to reduce barriers to program entry. But we do have a few projects that were kind of grandfathered in. And so you can reach out to me and your SPOC, and we can see what project you're referring to, because there are a few out there that we have allowed to request security deposits, but our policy is, and moving forward, is that with project-based, we're really working to try to reduce those barriers and have those project-based buildings try to build that into their operating budget instead of requesting security deposits from PBB participants.
And I can answer that, the last one that's up there. It says, I'm sorry if I missed this. Where can we find the briefing presentation video, and when can we start using this process instead of the in-person? You can start using it immediately, is the answer to that question. We don't have the link on our website because we haven't decided where it would go. However, if you, the link is on the briefing packet, and it's in this slideshow, which I think Catherine has shared. And then if you Google DOLA YouTube Colorado, the first result is the Colorado Department of Local Affairs YouTube channel. If you Google, I just tried it, DOLA YouTube without the Colorado, you'll get some cool rock videos that are not us, but it'll come up, DOLA YouTube Colorado, and then if and when we put a link on our website, we will let everyone know. But there are some links that in the presentation once again, and in the briefing packet that Catherine shared today. And there's another deposit question, Lynn, for you.
Oh, no problem. Looks like someone is asking, if an agency pays a deposit up front, do we still need the request form completed by the landlord and tenant, or just the agency reimbursement form completed by us? It's a great question. I hadn't thought about that. I don't think it's necessary to have the landlord and tenant complete that, although your agency may want to, because that form is stating that who the landlord will return that deposit back to. And so that could be something that you could update to have your agency's information on that. But you don't have to. The landlord could choose then once the participant leaves, if there's additional security deposit, that just goes back to the participant. But no, you're not required. All we need is that form filled out, the tracking sheet, and then the backup documentation showing that your agency did pay that security deposit from that landlord. And so we can work through those. This is, like I said, a brand new process. So bear with us. And if we need to update things or add stuff, please let us know. We want to make this easier on folks. So if you have suggestions, please let us know, because we can always update that process or provide additional tools for you guys.
Any other questions or topics people are curious about? Trying to find my camera again, sorry. There it is.
This is not a question, obviously. This is Kimberly. I just wanted to second what Lynn said, in that these are all intended to make everyone's lives easier. So if you all ever have any suggestions on ways that we can do that, insofar as paperwork or processes are concerned, please let us know, and we will take that suggestion to heart and try to make everything run more smoothly if we can.
Yes, in light of the final pieces of the Housing Opportunities Through Modernization Act, also referred to as HOTMA, also referred to as hot mess by those of us who have to make a lot of changes. We have a lot of changes to income calculation, income reporting, medical expenses. There's a lot coming. I mean, so much that it's changing the 50058 form. It's changing the way we report income or report data up to HUD. We've been doing it the same way for 100 years. Those changes are going to start trickling down to us. They already have, but we have to wait for our software to sort of catch up, because also our software, Yardi, Elite, all those software systems have to completely change for these changes. That's going to be a lot. That's going to be, I think the ultimate goal is that we are on our way to a little bit more administratively efficient program, but we know the stumbles it's going to take to get there with HOTMA. So that's coming in late 2024, effective in 2025. We will have lots of trainings once we can get trained on it. But in the meantime, again, these little tiny things where we can make, changes to make things more efficient. and administratively less burdensome. We are open to it. We think we have great ideas, and we do, but we know you guys who are doing a very different piece of the work also have really good ideas as well. Awesome. Well, if there are no other questions, we can. Oh, Kimberly, you shared Kimberly shared the briefing video in the chat. I just saw that. But we can go, and we'll have a new webinar schedule for 2024, topics to be determined. Y'all.
One more question. Apologies. I'll read it. One more HQS question. If the landlord says all the appliances are electric, do they have to have a CO detector? And I believe the answer is yes.
I believe Colorado law says yes. That is a great question for Mickey.
Right.
But is that I think Colorado law says that they have to have a CO detector, because the landlord can say something's electric, but there could be a gas attached garage, where the car running in the garage, right? There are other factors that better to be safe than not with the CO detectors. All right.
Catherine, oh, sorry, really quick. I think out on our website, we used to have the little cheat sheet if the carbon monoxide detector was needed.
Okay.
So it said, like, what are the utilities? Is there a garage attached? Is there a fire? Like, there are questions, because it's possible that they might not need one, but it's a very slim majority of units that would not need a CO detector. But I do believe it should be out there. I'll double check.
I know HUD has also come out in the meantime, since that law passed in Colorado many years ago. HUD has also made some updates to their requirements. And then Inspire, another 2025 problem we'll deal with later on in this coming year. The new inspection protocol, I think there are going to be some changes that we'll see there as well.
Hey, sorry, just really quick. It is out there. So under our forms, under the HQS, there's a carbon monoxide alarm checklist that asks a few questions, and then either say there's either the result, it's not needed, or it's required.
Awesome. Thank you, Lynn, for looking out there. Okay. Anything else? Lynn, anything else? I'm just kidding. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your 2023. Happy holiday season. And we'll be talking to you before the end of the year, but otherwise we plan on, like I said, a whole new set of webinar topics for 2024. Thanks, everyone.